Greetings, everybody. I'm here today to celebrate 2,000 subscribers with a little 2K Q&A. Let's roll that intro. I really appreciate you stopping by today, and I also really appreciate all the questions I got for this video. I'll probably do more of these in the future when we hit other milestones, but I had some people asking some questions during live streams and stuff, and I was like, let's try to compile some of them together. So if I missed your question, or if you have other ones, feel free to either post them underneath this video, and I can either answer them later, or if they're pretty quick ones, I can just maybe answer them just in a text format. This is, I think, more fun, right? All right, let's start here. We've got some, I love these questions, but I want to start with this one in particular. This one comes in from April. April, thank you so much for sending in your question. She asked me, what drove you to make the decision to move from home all the way to LA? I know you're pursuing acting, but was there a pivotal point or event that made you take the leap? That's a good question. I could probably make a whole video about that. But basically, I'll give you the short version. I feel like I've led many lives before up until this point, and I've kind of lived out other dreams people have wanted for me, or other people's dreams, and helped them succeed, but it was never mine. It was never exactly what I wanted to do. This was something I've always wanted to do since I was at least back in high school, but no one ever came to me and said, like, Jimmy, you can do it. And my twin sister Katie, who you guys may or may not know from some of the other videos, she was in theater back in high school, and I did not get along with Katie because we shared a car. And so we fought over that a lot, and so the idea of spending more time with her was not interesting to me, so I didn't really do acting in high school and onwards, but I did it with her when I was a child. Way back in the day, we used to do plays and stuff, so I'm not a complete novice when it comes to the acting world, but I digress. Anyway, the question basically is, like, what drove me to make the decision to move? It was something, like I said, I wanted to do it for a long time, and I wanted to do it. I came out here in March of 2020, and I was looking around, and I went back home, and of course, things happened, and the world kind of shut down for like a year and a half, 2 years. And so I was home, and I was planning, and I knew that when I had the opportunity to come back out, I would take it. But yeah, I kind of was getting sick and tired of like trying to find work or helping other people succeed, and that was great, but it was not fulfilling to me, because it was always like, I'm going to help you succeed and then I'm going to go do my thing. But finally I had the chance to do that, and I try to look at it as not being self-centered but more self-focused. I try to look at it that way, says the guy whose channel is his name now. So yeah, but April, like I said, that could be a whole full video, and I don't want to completely bore you with all the specifics of it, but yeah, I think being able to tell myself I could do this, and then coming out here and doing it, has demystified it and made it more of a potential reality in the future than just one of those like, well, if only I could have gone out and done acting in movies and stuff. It's like, no, that's what I'm doing, you know? And a little update for you guys, I'm doing a bunch of extra work, but I've also got some commercials, and I'll try to share those around as they come out, which is pretty cool. All right, next batch of questions. These come in from Naomi Daisy. Naomi, thank you so much for this. She sends in tons of questions, and I love it so much. She says, yeah, I was the only one asking questions on your live stream. I look like a dork. No, not true at all. Not true at all. She says, here are a few more. What is your first memory of Disneyland or Disney World? My first memories of Disneyland or Disney World, I used to go with my three sisters, my parents. We went a lot. Back in the day, it was a bit cheaper, and we would go, and it would be like, to be honest with you guys, we'd go like twice a year. We had annual passes, and this is living in Minnesota, but again, it was cheaper, and for a family of 6 altogether, it was something that like my family was really into, and it was like a sure bet. It wasn't like we're just gonna go, somewhere else in the States and hope for the best, even though we did that a couple of times too. But it was something that we knew was gonna be fun. But I remember my first kind of memory that really sticks with me was Katie and I used to have bunk beds, and Katie was on the top and I was on the bottom. And one morning, it was dark, maybe 4:30 in the morning. My mom, my father, and my two older sisters, they snuck in, and they shouted to both Katie and myself, like, "We're going to Disney World!" And I immediately started crying. Not out of joy, but out of fear. And I said the following: "Not the blood eye." But I said it like this: "Not the blood eye." And by that, I was referencing the now gone Maelstrom attraction over at the Norway Pavilion. That ride used to terrify me so much. And near the end, when you would back up and turn and then go down the drop, there was this kind of troll or gnoll or spirit that would come out of the ground with big, scary eyes and go like that. It was very freaky. And that was all I could think about, because I'd gone often enough that going to Disney World was not it was not going to be that thing that shook me to my core the same way it does for a lot of people who've never been before. I was a very lucky kid. Again, that's my first memory of that I can recall off the top of my head. There's also a hilarious photo. I don't know if I'll be able to show it to you guys, but it's my sisters, and we're all standing on Main Street, and I am in front of them, and I have my head in my hands like this. And I don't know what was happening. It was like the saddest little boy in all of Walt Disney World. Very funny. Clearly, I'm like a Disney guy, so it's not like it wasn't a thing that, stuck with me. But very funny question. That's kind of one of my very first memories of going to Disney World. And then Disneyland, not as much, just because I came the first time when I was 11. And the first stuff I remember, on repeat trips and stuff to Disneyland, was Soarin'. I remember going on Soarin' a bunch when it just came out, and asking to go in Section B, front row, for my family many times in a row. We went again and again and again. How many times have you ridden Jurassic Park / Jurassic World? How many of those have been filmed? Jurassic Park, so River Adventure, I think you're referring to just Universal Studios Hollywood, but I did ride that once over in Florida. But the one in Hollywood here, there was one day I went 11 times in a row. They just kept letting me go on. Sweet. Thanks, team members. Love you guys. Anyway, they didn't just let me go on, I should say, again and again, like a boat. I get off, and then they were just with the express or whatever, they're like, just go. I have not been able to replicate that. So 11 times at least. I'd probably say anywhere from 25 to 30 times at the very least since I have acquired my pass here. Yeah, at least that many. How many times have been filmed? Most all of them, at least in chunks or in part. I have done a few where I just go by myself, which I feel like I'm cheating you guys out of, but I do that occasionally where I just go and I don't have any filming equipment on me. That's why I kind of like or enjoy riding Revenge of the Mummy, because I can't bring stuff with me. And then it's just kind of you have to enjoy the experience, even though I want to get a GoPro or something to figure out how to film Revenge of the Mummy. But while I love going with you guys, it's also just nice to just kind of soak it in sometimes, or look around and do things and not worry about just living through the camera. So yeah, that's a great question. And I at least probably 30 times. Now that I think about it, it's probably closer to 40. Let's see. Did I go to college? Where and what did you study? I did go to college. I went to the University of Wisconsin Stout. And the reason I went there is I had two friends from my childhood who were going there, and I had no clue what I was going to do. And there was always this joke of when in doubt, go to Stout. One of my friends went into hospitality, another one went into plastics engineering, and I actually got my degree in applied science with an emphasis in biotechnology. I know, sounds pretty insane, right? Basically, this was a pre-veterinary medicine degree. I wanted for a long time to be a vet, and that was kind of the dream. Kind of my family's dream too, I'll admit. And once I started shadowing vets and seeing what they actually did, it was not appealing to me in the same way. I really, dogs are my absolute favorite creature on the planet. There's this thing over here that says dogs welcome, people tolerated. You see that? I love dogs, especially big dogs. I grew up with collies, and now we've got golden retrievers back home, and We had a border collie, just amazing creatures. I don't want to talk about it too much, otherwise it's going to be verklempt. But I want to help animals, and I looked at that job and I knew I could do it. And that's one thing that college taught me, is that like, even when it wasn't my dream, and even when the courses were really tough, and not that I was like a straight A student, I think my GPA was 3.51 or something like that. So I did pretty well. But I wanted to leverage my abilities in a different way. And that's one of the reasons I look at like the end game to the end game, or the post game or whatever, to acting careers, that I really, really want to do a lot of philanthropic work for animals, specifically dogs, because they are the greatest species on the planet, to me, and they have helped us get to where we are today. And they kind of embody everything I think we should be as a species. They're trustworthy, they're humble, they're kind, they love basically without condition, besides just getting food, water, and some pets. They're great listeners. They're so loyal. They're everything. And it's so hard to live without them. But one of my goals is to do well enough in this business, not only to entertain, because that's really the main focus of that, but then afterwards, hopefully, to take that and to build and to help others with that, with dogs, and senior dogs and service dogs and therapy dogs and everything. They're just the best. Yeah. So that's another great question there. A lot of science classes. I've taken a lot of science classes and some math classes, or courses. Oh my gosh. Boy. How many times have you read The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings books, or seen the movies? I talk about this a lot. So The Lord of the Rings, they are my favorite films of all time, in no specific order, because I feel like they're one giant film. So they're either my top three, or top one. And by the way, if you're kind of looking to get into them and you're not sure, start with the theatrical versions. The theatrical regular cuts have, I think, a better, more straightforward story. The extendeds are good, but they add a lot of unnecessary stuff that is fun if you've watched it a ton like I have, and I can still point out the extended stuff, but it feels like it's a little too much. But yes, I love The Lord of the Rings, and The Hobbit is great as well. I've read through The Hobbit at least once, and this is where this was a frustration for people on the Orc Goblin video I made a while back. I have never finished the Lord of the Rings books. I have them. I have started them. It's just, guys, I'll be honest with you, Tolkien, he made an amazing world. It's so hard for me. Reading has never been a thing that I thoroughly enjoy, because I go back, or my mind is spinning too fast and I'll be like, did I even read that paragraph? Or how do I picture this scenario? So it's never been something that it's hard. And like trying to read scripts and stuff now, a bit easier. But man, The Lord of the Rings is thick, and it's like it'll spend 2 pages discussing the look of a tree, but then a page and a half on a song that someone just started singing. It's a lot. Just like, ugh. So I will get through them one day. I will. The real question is, how many times have I actually watched The Lord of the Rings of The Hobbit? The Hobbit I probably watched through 3 or 4 times maybe. Lord of the Rings, oh my gosh. Probably around 12 times or more, at least. I love it. It probably sounds like it should be a higher number, but I save it, and then I watch it, and just, it always makes me emotional. It's one of the movies or things that we've made it as a society that I would give to aliens if they showed up and said, I'd be like, this is one of the best things we've made as humans. That's just how I feel about it. And the acting is pitch perfect. There's a moment with Aragorn, and I won't spoil it for people who haven't seen it. Probably should have, though. Please go watch it. And he turns around and he looks around in the third movie, and I won't spoil the context or anything, but he just says 2 words. He says, for Frodo. And then he charges off to battle, and I get goosebumps. I get goosebumps thinking about it right now. It's so good. So good. I love The Lord of the Rings so much. The theatrical or the cinematic nature of it. Goodness, I love it. Peter Jackson and everybody who was involved, you're some of the best people on the planet, and I appreciate you for existing. Also, another thing about all of that, my mom was into Lord of the Rings when she was in college, because those books came out in like the 50s, and then she was in college in the 70s, Philippines, I believe. And she had a map of Middle Earth up on her wall, and people would be like, oh, where is that? And she'd be like, it's fictional. But she had a love for those books that she tried to instill upon me as a kid. But then I'll never forget sitting with her in the theaters watching the goblins come to attack the Fellowship in the Mines of Moria, or seeing Return of the King with her. It was just, I don't know, it's so, my mom is my favorite person, and like the fact that she loves those so much, I'm sure, like Disney, has worn off on me, and I'm very thankful for that, so thank you, Mom. Okay, anyway, sorry, moving on. Have you ever tried to learn an Elvish language? I've learned like 2 words, I think it's Sylvan, and of course, one of them is mother, and I might be completely off on this. So you hear Arwen talk to her dad a lot, Elrond, and she'll say Ada. It's like Adda or Ada or something like that. But for what I learned for mother was Naneth. It's like Naneth. So I will call her Naneth a lot. That's kind of a nickname I have for her. And then also I learned the word silence, which is Dina. It's Dina. So yeah, so when she would come to town, or she would say like, oh, I could just hang out, whatever, and you could just go do your thing, you can go work. So I was like, Dina, Dina, like silence, no more of this. But I love my mom so very much, and it's only those few words, but I've never tried to fully learn Elvish. And what is your biggest fear? What is my biggest fear? I guess for a long time it's been a fear of failure. Not only with acting, but with the channel, with romance, with whatever else. There have been a lot of things that haven't panned out the way I wanted them to, but maybe there's some sort of divine calculus or kind of a meant to do a certain thing. And the way I look at it is thus: you either allow your fate or you seize your destiny. And I'm definitely more of the latter group. I'm definitely more of a proactive individual. At least I like to think so. So yes, biggest fear. And then finally, Naomi asks, or Joe, her husband, specifically wants to know, what's my favorite Chuck Norris joke? It's this one. When Chuck Norris does push-ups, he's not pushing away from the planet. He's pushing the planet away from himself. I really like that one. This next batch comes in from Tanya. Tanya says, what would be your dream job and dream life? Dream job, it's one that I probably talked about a few times here, but I'd love to be like, I don't know, Harry Osborn in Spider-Man. I'd love to be a Sith Lord in Star Wars. I'd love to be Ghost Rider. I gotta learn how to ride a motorcycle though. I want to be in big action films. I want to be right in the center of a battle. Ripping bad guys apart, or ripping good guys apart. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm equal opportunity for ripping apart. But just entertaining as many people as possible. Make you smile and forget for a while. That's my whole motto. So that's and dream life would be not only making films and television like that, but then also getting the chance to go around and to make other people happy. Just like going to a restaurant and being like, I'm buying everyone's meal, or, helping a family pay medical bills for their dog or something like that, where I get to be like, yeah, no, it's fine, I got it. Or donating a ton of money to animal, like wildlife stuff, which Disney back in the day used to do matching for donations, dollar for dollar. I don't know if they do it anymore over at Animal Kingdom. You could donate up to $1 million, if I'm not mistaken, and they would match that. And one of my dreams is to walk in there one day, if they're still doing that, and be like, oh yeah, so what's the highest you can go to? And they're like, $1 million. They're like, but no one ever does that. And I'm like, hi, I'm gonna do that. Like, and I'd be like, I don't need to know exactly what you're gonna do with the money. I just want to know if you're using it like to help some elephants or something. That'd be great. How long have I been pursuing acting? So like I said, I've been doing it since I was a kid. Now, I've been doing it a couple of years, at the very least. I did some commercial work back in Minnesota. Not a lot. I was helping out a friend with stuff. And then doing TV stuff, which is, it kind of feels like it's in the same vein. Hosting and acting aren't the same. They aren't. but there are a lot of similar skills required. And I've been doing local television stuff. If you guys don't know, I have a show back home called Game Sharks, and they air it back on the local TV station. So I get to go into an actual television station and record a show about video games, and they still let me do it with my friend Corey. And we've done it like through Zoom or through Skype and like, you know, from a distance, but like in an actual studio. And that was actually maybe, you know, back to that question that April had about a pivotal moment. I was working at a histology lab, which is a tissue lab, and I was archiving things. So I was an archivist or archivist. I think it's archivist, but anyway. And one day, I had kind of gotten to know these people at the local TV station, QCTV. My love to you guys. And my friend Corey, who's been a friend for years now, had me come in and record a segment off a teleprompter talking about Star Wars Rogue One that was coming to theaters. And I remember doing it and like reading the thing I wrote for it and you know, reading off the teleprompter and doing it. There was a big green screen behind me. They had this big green screen that's in a corner. So like this huge corner that's all green. And it was just a little bit I did for his show, but I remember leaving and feeling invigorated. I was like, whoa. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, that I need to do that stuff. Why am I doing this this histology lab stuff? And yeah, that was definitely, that was a pivotal moment. And the last question, and I wanted to give this a little bit of time, Tanya, she, there's a few things I could say about this, but well, okay. How did you and Provost Park Pass meet? So for people who don't know Provost Park Pass, it is a channel on YouTube, and it is, it's great. It's featuring Chris and his wife Amanda, and sometimes their son Miles, and they have other people who come and help them out from time to time. And during the pandemic, or right before the pandemic, they went on this thing called the Provost Park Pass World Tour. Basically, their whole point was they were going to go from every Disney park on the planet, one after another, over the course of months, basically. And they made it to Florida, and then eventually they get to Paris, but then that's right when the pandemic was in full swing, and then they had to like stop and go back, and they did like a Disney cruise back in Florida. But there's one video where Chris, the main guy, he gets sick, and he gets like really sick, and they weren't sure exactly what it was, if it was like the flu or whatever. But this is one of the first videos I had seen by them. I'd seen like the churro challenge and stuff, some of the things they were known for, but he was like laid up in bed and he was so human. And I feel like for a lot of the people I've watched over the years, they've been great, but over time it gets to this point where, you know, you can't help but be like the persona you put forward. Like obviously I put forth the persona as well. It's kind of what you lead with, and sometimes that overtakes you. And I loved seeing just like the pure humanity of this sick man and how they really were not shy about talking about, you know, what had happened and how he was feeling and all that stuff. And I was like, man, these guys are interesting. So I did what I've done for years on the internet, and I reached out to them. And now here's a little lesson for anybody who wants to talk to anybody anywhere now, because the great thing about this tool called the internet is that we can connect with pretty much anyone on the planet simultaneously. That's pretty amazing, right? However, many times, especially if you have like a show or a podcast or whatever, and that's the nice thing about having a channel or a podcast you've been doing for a long time, is that you can have an excuse to talk to people. Because if I wanted to talk to Chris and I said to him like, hey, I was wondering if I could talk to you on a random Thursday for 2 hours, would that be okay with you? We'll just talk. It'd be kind of weird. It'd be strange. But if you have a podcast or something like that, then you have something to like, you know, there's a thing there. There's something that like, it can help them, it can help you, and it entertains people. So it's kind of a trifecta, right? Holy Trinity. So I reached out to him after talking. I think we maybe messaged a few times back and forth, like email and whatnot. And then he and Amanda were on the show, and they've been on the show a couple times now. I think twice, at least twice. But then when I moved out here, I told him, I was like, hey, I'm going to be in the parks. So if you ever want, someone to help you film stuff, or if you ever want to meet up, just let me know. But, I get it. And Chris really is a celebrity in the parks. And again, if you guys don't know who I'm talking about, please check out Provost Park Pass. But it's hard to take 50 steps or even 100 with him in Disneyland without getting stopped by people. And I know that sounds like an exaggeration. I am not kidding. I'm not kidding. And the thing is, there are more people who would stop him, but they are nervous or shy or whatever else. But when somebody does it, it's like blood in the water. Other people are like, I wasn't going to say anything, but I saw that this person came up to you. And it's really great because it gave me this appreciation for how Chris operates as this celebrity, and has taught me a lot about what that fame and that power that you have can do, and how to respectfully wield it. And yeah, he's a pro. He's a professional. He really is. But there's so much more to Chris. He's a very complex and interesting individual. And Chris, if you're watching this right now, I'm not sure if you would be, but know that I appreciate you. I really do. And I like to think that we've become true friends. And I've told Chris this in the past, that I care about, I love him platonically. And we spent time outside of Disney to hanging out and doing stuff. But if Disney evaporated tomorrow, I would still want to be your friend. Yeah, and Amanda too, who I've only gotten the chance to hang out with occasionally, but she's lovely. They're fantastic people. So that's kind of how we met. There wasn't like this, like I bumped into him in line or something type of thing. But yeah, I'm happy to be part of his life, and he's a part of mine. And one of the weird things too is trying to find that balance, because for me, I've known him longer in a weird way than he's known me, because I watched his videos. And for a while there during the pandemic, my family and I, we just watched the Provost videos, because it was like, whoa, who is this guy? He's so upbeat, but also very human. So that is my answer, my long-winded answer to how I met Provost Park Pass. But yeah, they're the best, some of the best edited, if not the best edited Disney content out there that I've seen. I'm very critical of this stuff. I mean, the channel used to be called Critical Reviews, so and I'm also as someone who makes this sort of thing, not only the vlogs, but Chris does different stuff. It's very edited. Typically, there's information and it's delivered in a certain way. It's not always just here, follow me around today, we're walking around Disneyland, that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate that. So he's got this kind of hybrid, it's not a vlog, but not an essay. It's this amalgamation thing, which I think plays super well. So go check him out if you haven't. And I'm actually in not a lot, but I'm in a handful of videos. I've also filmed a couple of those videos too, and it's always an interesting experience. It really is. So kudos to all the other people who actually help behind the scenes over at the Provost. Cameraman Greg, Thumbnail Dave, Andrew, Professor Andrew, Alyssa, the editor, who just a saint. I think sometimes, if only I had an editor. I'm if people want to know who the editor is on this channel, my name on the channel, I am everything on this channel. So Editor Jimmy here. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have split personality, or whatever, but there are times when I watch the stuff I've edited back, because I'll say something in the moment on a vlog, and I'm oh man, I'm gonna be so frustrated with myself in a couple of days or a couple of weeks. And then I watch it when I'm editing, and I'm like, why did he say that? Now I gotta do this other stuff. Anyway, but thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the questions. And like I said, I will do more of these in the future if you guys want, when we hit certain milestones. I don't know if it's gonna be for every K, as it were, but as someone who has been on this channel, or YouTube for 7 years or so, it's 2,000 maybe doesn't seem like a lot to people, but it's a lot to me, and I appreciate the people who are watching this. There's hopefully a good chunk of you who are those subscribers, so thank you. And we're starting to grow, and I appreciate that so much. And you guys do not need to do any of the YouTube things, only if you want to. It helps the algorithm stuff out, so it helps me out. But the fact that you guys are watching this at all and left questions means a heck of a lot. So please ask more if you have them. Like I said, I will respond to them in the comments unless they are lengthy ones, and I will try to remember to grab those for maybe if I like a 5K, you know, who knows when I'll hit that, because it took by my calculations, I know YouTube is different, but see, if it took 7 years to hit 2, it could be a while. In like 8 years from now. But yes, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for hanging out today. And for everyone who's been commenting on the videos and liking them, like I said before, thank you. But people who've been donating during the live streams, I've been like, oh my goodness. And the people who are donating on Patreon, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. And I'm going to continue to do all this stuff. I'm going to continue to try to not only pursuing acting and the commercial work and all of that, but also to continue to make stuff for you guys, because this is turning into more of a thing, as I like to call it, and I love to stream and to make videos, and it kind of slots in well around the weirdness of having an actor's schedule, because believe it or not, I'm an actor now, which is weird to think, but it's the truth. It's the truth. But I'm also a YouTuber as well. Look at that. YouTuber is a weird, like, word, isn't it? I don't know. Anyway, let's not get into semantics. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome.